Richard Grieco,
First class.
mistaken for a spy.
I can drive this baby out of here right now, right?
Yeah. All I have to do is rescue a beautiful girl, save Europe, and graduate high school.
What have you done?
Just like this. Hey,
Richard Grieco,
no problem.
If Looks Could Kill, rated PG-13. Now playing at a theater near you.
In a world where podcasts reign supreme, two friends dare to ask, do you even movie? Hosted by filmmaker Henrique Couto and movie aficionado David D. Neuer. Spoiler alert.
That's right, my friends. We are heading into quite the nostalgia trip right here on Do You Even Movie? I'm, of course, your host, Henrique Couto, here with my good buddy and co-host, Double D, David DeNoyer.
Greetings.
And it's a treat. This one is a big treat because if you are an elder millennial, unlike this, what did my therapist say?
Oh, God.
My therapist was like, when you want to be mean to David, don't say like the really mean thing you're thinking. Ease up and be a little bit nicer. Hold on, I'm just going to check my email.
All right, fair enough.
Up. Shitbag. Shitbag.
How could I forget?
With this shitbag here.
that was a long trek
and
for
we
that.
are here. We are here with Do You Even Movie, where we talk about our favorite and, well, not always favorite, but movies that we think matter.
Yeah.
We like to say over on this show that we are not reviewers, we're enthusiasts.
Yes.
And that is especially true because I often hate reviewers.
Yeah, no, when you and I set out to do this podcast, the one thing we agreed upon was that we wanted most of anything to have a show where we gave our appreciation for film and covered the things that not normal shows cover for the most part. We want to have an appreciation. We want people to go see these movies. We don't just want to crack jokes. I mean, that'll definitely come with the territory.
No, there will be no jokes.
No jokes at all. None whatsoever. Straightforward podcast. But no, like, Do You Even Movie is the concept of exactly what it says. Do you even movie? Do you know the stars? Do you know the writers? Do you know the people behind the camera? If not, we're going to show you.
Well, and I'd like to think that Do You Even Movie is a joke because we're referring Do You Even Lift,
bro,
which is meant to be like a gatekeeper kind of thing.
Exactly.
And we're completely against that kind of mentality.
Yeah.
We're not gatekeepers.
No.
We want everybody to be able to jump out and enjoy and celebrate film.
Absolutely.
So that's what we're doing here, and we're not going to ever explain it again, except maybe every time you join us, but we're happy to have you here.
Yes.
And tonight we are talking about If Looks Could Kill. So, Double D?
Yes.
What are the deets, the pertinent deets?
So the pertinent deets in regards to the film, we'll go with synopses, and I have several to choose from, so you tell me which one you like the best so far.
I hate them all.
So this is off the back of the Warner DVD. It says, check it out. Who's the tuxedo guy in the awesome cherry red machine? Make way, Bill and Ted. Here comes Richard Grieco in his very own...
Make way, Bill and Ted.
In his very own excellent adventure.
Make way, Bill and Ted. Okay, so in the film business, which I happen to know a little bit about, there's a thing called comp titles.
Yeah.
Comparable titles, right?
Yeah.
Comp titles are super handy because it allows you to basically in shorthand tell somebody you're trying to sell a movie to, hey, it's like this, so that they can get an idea of how they would market it or how they should understand it or where it would fit in their business.
Yeah.
That being said, what year was this movie?
1991.
Comparing it to Bill and Ted is just that's grasping at straws to like get more attention, I guess. That's just like punching at them for no apparent. This is not a movie that is really going hard for that Bill and Ted audience.
Not at all.
Am I not crazy here, right?
I don't think you're crazy at all. Like when I read the back of this, which I'll continue, Grieco, Mobsters TV's 21 Jump Street, plays teen agent Michael Corbin in If Looks Could Kill, a bodaciously fun spy spoof also starring Linda Hunt, Roger Rees, Gabrielle Anwar, and it's an adventure that's styling from the start. Needing a class credit for graduation, Michael goes to Europe with the French club for what he hopes will be Breezin' Babe Safari. Instead, he's mistaken for a top super spy, loaded up with lots of righteous espionage gear and given a totally cool car. He's having the time of someone else's life. Now all he has to do is save Europe and graduate from high school. No problem.
I've only done one of those, but you would never guess which one it is. Never, ever.
So that's the back of the Warner DVD.
Right, and that's even crazier because that Warner DVD had to have been published at minimum in the last 20 years.
Try, I think, 10.
I know, I'm just saying that DVD didn't exist in 1991, so... Wow.
Here's IMDb.
Oh, okay.
Michael has to take summer class in French, a class trip to France to graduate high school. He is, however, mistaken for an agent, and people try to kill him. There are 007...
It says he's mistaken for an agent.
Yeah.
It says mistaken for an agent.
Mistaken for an agent.
So people are like, whoa, I heard you book Purina dog commercials for actors? You're dead. You're dead. I love it. It's like swimming with sharks.
Here's the end. There are 007-style cars, cuties, crooks, etc.
So, and by cuties, it's referring to Clementine oranges. I would assume. Yes.
Here's Letterboxd. Michael Corbin, along with the rest of his high school French class, sets out for a trip to France when he is mistaken for an agent of the same name. He is besieged by both good guys and the bad guys. British intelligence outfits him with a series of James Bond-like gizmos, and Steranko sends more would-be assassins after him. Can Michael stop the evil Steranko's plans for European domination? There's that.
Okay.
And then finally, here's Google. Before he can graduate, cocky high school student Michael Corbin, played by Richard Grieco, travels to France on a school trip to earn missing French credit. But when a British intelligence agent mistakes Michael for a spy of the same name, they rush him to headquarters and assign him to capture the evil Augustus Steranko, played by Roger Rees. Using a plethora of espionage gadgetry, Michael has the time of his life until he crosses paths with two assassins, played by Tom Rack and Carol Davis, who want him dead.
None of those are good.
No, there's not a single synopsis.
When you're reading a synopsis from IMDb, then you have to take it with a grain of salt, knowing that the person who wrote it is incurably insane, has a plethora of illnesses, both mental and physical, and has been dead for months. So, but those are all not...
They're not good.
So, Double D, if you had to tell our audience, if you wanted to be kind enough to tell them what the hell is If Looks Could Kill.
So If Looks Could Kill is a film from 1991 starring Richard Grieco, who plays Michael Corbin. Corbin is essentially a high school student who is graduating, except he's not.
Oh, he's a classic, like, Ferris Bueller slacker type. He's cool.
He's cool.
But also things don't always work out the way he'd like them to. So he also gets like smacked down by life.
Smacked down by life. He didn't attend his French class, so he missed out on his French credit. So he cannot graduate. So he has the option of going to summer school, except summer school is not being taught by Mrs. Grover, his French teacher. It is being, she is taking the class on a trip to France. So somehow he ends up getting to go on the trip to France to get his credit. And in doing so, he ends up crossing paths with a gentleman of the same name that is an intelligence agent that ends up getting assassinated in the airport. He takes his first class ticket, goes onto the flight, and then British intelligence mistakes him as soon as he gets off the plane. And now he has to save, I don't want to say, is it the world?
Well, it's like a bunch of world leaders.
Yeah, it's a bunch of world leaders. He has to save a bunch of world leaders.
This is way too long for the box, back of the box.
I don't know what you want. What you want me to say?
You could have just said through mistaken identity, high school. Okay,
high school student.
Here, let me. Through a case of mistaken identity, a high schooler who is not necessarily the best student ever has to stand in place of the best super spy ever in a wacky romp that screams, "We're the 90s."
Oh my God! So
If Looks Could Kill.
I just pulled it up just for the hell of it. The back of the VHS for Warner is the Warner Archives DVD.
Oh, so they just copied it right off which makes perfect sense.
Yeah,
you know,
totally.
You know, have you ever heard that saying, I apologize, if I had had more time, I would have written you a shorter letter?
I should have elevator pitched it and I didn't think about it. All right.
Oh, I mean, I just wanted to get a quick one across, considering the fact that the rest of the program is us explaining the whole movie or what we love about it and stuff like that. Of course, at the beginning of the show, you should have been warned, but if you haven't,
spoiler alert.
We do have... We're maggoty with spoilers.
There's
Do You Even movie.
No way for us to talk about this one, especially without spoiling a lot, because for one, it's an 88-minute runtime.
Okay.
In and out.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I guess in and out. I mean, back then that was a little bit more common.
A little bit more common,
Some people get mad when you complain about movies being long all the time.
Yeah.
I did like a world when it was easier to fit going to a movie into my week.
Yeah, I have.
Sometimes it's like 2.5 hours. You're like, why do I have to test my bladder to see this movie?
As much as a nerd as I am, I have playlists on my Vudu that is called David's Bedtime Stories, and all the films are 90 minutes.
A Serbian film.
No.
A Serbian film.
No, they're 90 minutes or less, and they fit in that time slot, so I can put something on if I want to either fall asleep to it or if I just want to, put a 90-minute movie on.
But is a Serbian film under 90 minutes?
No, I don't believe it is. I think it's like 95-ish.
So you had but they cut it down for
cut it down for
yeah.
Voodoo.
So there you go.
It's a whole other story.
You got
I don't want to talk about it.
Uh-oh.
Watch out, guys. It's a hot take.
You wanna lay one on everybody?
All I'm gonna say is if Voodoo is using cover art so what happened was I had a friend who wanted to see a Serbian film. And if you're not familiar with the Serbian film...
Well, that's a friend right there.
Yeah. If you're not familiar with the Serbian film, keep it that way.
Yeah, I mean, probably.
It probably isn't for you if you haven't heard about it.
It's a modern rite of passage film.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kind of the way films like Cannibal Holocaust were, or Faces of Death is probably the most famous kind of like... That's how you know you're like the edgelord 15-year-old. See, when I was a boy, we would rent tapes and celebrate the defeating of Hitler.
Yeah.
And then we would take our tapes and fend off dinosaurs in order to get to a VCR. But no, there was this whole era where it was like you had to see these certain movies.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Dave, I like to pick on Dave for a lot of reasons.
Hot
a lot of
Moon.
very good reasons. He's literally like there's a tag right above his butt crack that is a Hot Topic label. But no, I like to pick on David, but he's just a smidge younger than I am, about 6-7 years younger.
Yeah. So
I had a lot more of the pure ass VHS era than you. You had more of a like renting DVDs era.
Yeah, I bought VHSs towards that point because
you bought VHSs when it was cool, not because it was the only way.
No. DVD was out at that point, but getting a VHS at the flea market, Dixie Flea Market, was super. I mean, you could get them for like $25 a piece. So I started building my VHS collection when I was 5 or 6.
Wow.
Anyway,
he was beating the chicks off with a pointed stick.
I digress. So Serbian film went up on Vudu, and for anybody who knows about Serbian film, you're probably aware that it has not been available uncut since I don't know how long. I mean, there was an uncut release that came out.
I couldn't tell you for sure.
Tail end of like the early 2000s, I want to say, and FYE carried it. But anyway, so Vudu puts up a Serbian film, and it says uncut and unrated on the box art. So on their cover art, I'm like, okay, well, it's got to be. And I checked the runtime, and everything tracked, except when I went to go watch it, it clearly was the R-rated cut, and not the unrated, heinous that everybody has come to know cut. So
yeah, and that made David very sad.
It made me upset because it was false advertising, and we can end the story there.
Well, it was the distributor's fault.
Yeah.
They just used the artwork they had.
Well, and now that I know that, I've picked up on multiple things on Vudu that have that exact same issue.
When Amazon Prime first started allowing people to release their independent movies, one of the big things they would like scream at the top of their lungs was like, there better not be a DVD logo on your artwork. There better not be the credits at the bottom, and there better not be a like coming to a theater near you, or like they were always adamant about that stuff because people would be that level of lazy.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
So that's one thing worth pointing out.
Yeah.
But so what do you, so I'll say first of all, I mean, what do we want to talk about? We want to talk about how we discovered it, or
first up, we've got how can this be seen? So we're gonna go ahead and kick you right in the nuts right away. If Looks Could Kill is not super easy to find streaming at all. You cannot rent it. You cannot find it on YouTube or any place of that nature, unfortunately. And so you have to buy a physical DVD if you want to see it, which you can get from Warner Archive. They have an $8.29 DVD you can get very easily, and that's how you can see it. So unfortunately, we are talking about a movie that's not super easy to come by, but we are talking about it because we love this movie. And we both had it at an early age.
And because there's another film named If Looks Could Kill that David thought was this movie, so he thought it was readily available. He thought it was readily available.
Several.
So, no, it's fine. The only request I had when we started the show was that movies be available, and you were like, "No."
You did say that we could squeeze one in there from time to time, and you know what? This is.
I don't appreciate you saying I would say that sentence.
Anyway,
please, no, David.
All right, so let's jump into who's in front of the camera. We're calling this segment Above the Line.
Above the Line, which is a show business term for people in front of the camera.
Yes.
So people and things, because some actors are things.
Yes.
No, like things like Above the Line could also reference sets. It's just anything in front of the lens.
So you have Richard Grieco, who plays Michael Corbett in this. This was his film debut, his feature film debut. He had been in One Life to Live in 1987. He'd been on Who's the Boss in 88, Facts of Life in 88. Of course, 21 Jump Street. He played
famously
Dennis Booker in 1988 to 89. Got his spinoff series Booker. The same year If Looks Could Kill comes out, one of my favorite films, which is probably going to be a future episode, Mobsters, also comes out.
Oh,
which
okay.
He's in.
Yeah.
From that point, he goes and does The Demolitionist in 1995. He does a lot of B movies between then. Night at the Roxbury in 1998. He appears in 22 Jump Street in 2014.
Have I seen The Demolitionist? Have we watched that?
I don't know. It was one of those titles that I saw on his resume, and I was like, I think I've seen it. But
were they trying to ride the coattails of Demolition Man?
Probably. It was around the same time, so yeah, probably.
Okay.
And he was in that movie you and I watched a couple years ago, Minutes to Midnight in 2018, that horror film that was New Year's centered.
Oh yeah, I like that one.
Yeah. So you got Richard Grieco. He plays Michael Corbin. He's your main character. Your villains in this one, you have Roger Rees, who is playing Augustus Steranko. He was in Star 80 in 1983. I first saw him in The Christmas Carol with George C. Scott in 84. He plays his cousin Fred. He's in Stop or My Mom Will Shoot in 1992. He's, of course, Sheriff of Rottingham in Robin Hood Men in Tights in 93.
Which is where I will forever know him.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's funny that he's the Sheriff of Rottingham in Robin Hood Men in Tights, but he's like wicked serious acting.
Yeah, he is.
I like that about him.
Oh, yeah.
It's like he could have been in the Costner Robin Hood.
Apparently, a lot of people, I didn't realize this, but apparently a lot of people knew him from Cheers.
He was on Cheers?
He was on Cheers for a little bit.
Oh, he played Norm.
Norm!
No, I had no idea he was on Cheers.
Well, he was also a voice in the 1995 cartoons Gargoyles. He appeared on Oz. He was in an episode of Oz.
Oh, no, I remember that. He was the, in Oz, he was the, what do you call it? The newsman. He was like a investigative journalist.
Yeah.
He was an investigative journalist on it, and he ends up staying in the cell with Cyril O'Reilly.
Yep.
And we are not. I have been told.
Oz podcast.
I have been told I'm not allowed to talk about Oz for more than 35 seconds straight, unless the topic of the show
is Oz.
So yes, but this guy's got a pedigree.
Yeah.
To end all pedigree.
And unfortunately, we lost him a few years ago. I want to say it was I think 2015 or 2016. We unfortunately lost him. I think to cancer.
No, that's too bad. I mean, well, let me tell you. Here's one of the most fun elements of movie fandom.
Yeah.
And I found this out doing my other show, Popcorn Fodder, which you direct.
Yeah.
Which is a movie hosting show that we do. Boy, time sure does go on.
Yeah.
And the more we would do deep dives into the background and history of these movies, the more it'd be like, oh, right, it's just like every second is further away from when that movie was made.
Yeah.
Therefore, you're doing an infinite amount of death dedications.
Yeah.
I remember when we were doing Popcorn Fodder, I started to feel like Casey Kasem.
Yeah.
I just wanted to be like, what am I doing with this goddamn death dedication? Because I'd be like, boy, that scene sure was silly when the woman punched the gorilla while she was topless. The man who played the gorilla unfortunately passed away in 2007. That was like
I remember that.
I mean, that didn't literally happen.
No, but I remember things like that. Yeah,
it was damn near like that. So unfortunately, when it comes to major fandom of cinema, there's just going to be so many people passing away.
Yeah.
And, and we're not going to do only older movies. We'll talk about contemporary ones too.
Absolutely.
So tell us some more.
We also have Linda Hunt, who plays Roger Rees, Augustus Steranko's henchwoman. She is Ilsa Grunt. She was in Popeye in 1980, Year of Living Dangerously in 82, David Cronenberg's, or is it Cronenberg or Lynch? Dune in 84. I think it's Lynch. Yeah, it's David Lynch.
Dune, okay,
yeah. She-Devil in 1989, Kindergarten Cop, of course, in 1990.
Oh, and she is one of the... for that era, the most recognizable female character actors.
Yeah, and she was in Pocahontas in 95 as the voice of Grandmother Willow. She was in The Relic in 97. And I found out this, I played these games, I didn't even think about it. She's the main narrator on the God of War games.
I had no idea.
Yeah. So you also have Robin Bartlett, who plays Patricia Grover, Mrs. Grover, the French teacher. She was in...
Oh, wait, never mind. Sorry. I almost confused her for that woman who was always screeching in Austin Powers.
Yeah, I know.
But I'm wrong.
Yeah, it's not her.
But for a second, I thought that was her, and I'm wrong.
So Robin Bartlett was in Sophie's Choice in 1982, Baby Boom in 87, Moonstruck in 87, Lean on Me in 89, Crimes and Misdemeanors in 89, Dangerous Minds in 95.
Man.
You've got a bunch of other people in this, such as Oliver Deer, who is William Deer is the director of this film, which we'll get into the next segment. His son, Oliver Deer, plays Kent, who is Corbin's best friend in the movie. He was in Time Rider, The Adventures of Lyle Swan in 82. He did Amazing Stories in 85. He was in...
A lot of people did Amazing Stories.
We'll get to Amazing Stories as well.
Which is worth mentioning, because when you have a show as massive as, say, an Amazing Stories, or more so when we, like, our eras was like Law and Order, the later Star Trek series.
Yeah.
If you were a working actor and you didn't set foot on those sets, then you were eating cat food.
Yeah.
You were not working, kid.
Absolutely. So you've got Gabrielle Anwar, who plays Mariska Blade. She was in Son of a Woman in 1992, Body Snatchers in 93. Yes, the good Body Snatchers.
Wait, which actress was this, or actor was this?
The main chick, the spy chick.
Oh, yeah, she totally is in Body Snatchers.
Yeah.
Which highly underrated. Definitely a future episode
Absolutely.
all about Body Snatchers. That is such a great 90s film until the studio ruined the ending.
Yeah, there's
but
that.
Hey, I'm not here to be angry. Actually, that's exactly what I'm here for.
We've also got Tom Rack, who plays Ziegfeld. He is another assassin in it. He was in one of my favorite films, The Vindicator from 1986. But the reason I put him on here, Enrique, is because he was the pinball wizard security in The Tale of the Pinball Wizard in Are You Afraid of the Dark? And he's also the Watcher in the Woods in The Tale of the Watcher in the Woods.
Wait, so this is which actor?
The guy that has the hand, the robot hand.
He was, and there's another Are You Afraid of the Dark alumni in this, although it's a brief role.
Okay.
During the card scene.
Yeah.
Remember the guy who steps out and says, like, beat him up?
Beat his ass.
He's this older looking British guy. He was Old Man Cochrane in the kids playing hide and seek in the graveyard.
Yeah.
How he had like the white face and the harmonica.
That's totally him.
That's totally him.
That's totally him.
Yeah.
Holy hell.
Was this shot in Canada?
Yeah.
Oh, well, then,
100%.
Oh, well, then that's not a mystery at all. That's like going, it's kind of cloudy. Yeah, they shot it in Connecticut.
Yeah. So the last one I'm going to mention is Frederick Coffin. He plays Lieutenant Colonel Labrie in this. He was also in Alone in the Dark, the Jack Shoulder film in 1982.
Phenomenal flick.
Shoot to Kill with Sidney Poitier and Tom Berenger in 1988. Hard to Kill. He is Seagal's best buddy in that, the one that protects his son at the one point in the train station.
Okay, yeah.
And he was also in Wayne's World, of course, because he's the cop, where he's like, it's a shame what they did to your program. It was a nice little, when they go into the diner, he's the guy that also gives Rob Lowe the body cavity search.
Well, oh yeah.
That's him.
He's another one of those characters.
Yeah.
That's one thing about the 90s. I find, I don't know how, if other people feel this way,
yeah,
but I feel like a coziness just from the character actors I was used to seeing and everything when I was a young lad.
I get that.
So, and he was one that was in so many films.
Yeah.
So many films.
And the last one I want to mention is Roger Daltrey of The Who makes a brief appearance in this. He is Blade, the secret agent that is killed that basically kind of starts everything in the movie.
The Who?
The Who.
Who?
Teenage Wasteland. Baba O'Reilly. Who are you?
Sleepaway Camp 3?
I knew you were going to say that.
Well, I mean, I'm anything if not predictable.
So that is the above the line. Moving to below the line, who's behind the camera? We have the director, William Deer. He did Northville Cemetery Massacre in 1976, which sounds like a really fun movie that I saw on his resume.
How have we not seen that
I'm going to look
film?
into it. I'll let you know.
Okay, because no, that's... I'm mad.
Yeah. He directed several episodes at SNL in 1981. He did Playboy Collector's Edition Volume 2 in 1983.
A classic that both of us are very well aware of.
He directed Gary Shandling Alone in Vegas in 1984.
How have I not seen that?
It's one of his stand-ups.
It's a stand-up.
Yeah, stand-up, yeah.
Okay, well, I thought it was a film.
Yeah,
I was like, how have I missed a Gary Shandling vehicle?
He did Amazing Stories in 1985.
Oh, okay.
He directed and I believe wrote Harry and the Hendersons in 1987. He did the Dinosaurs TV series in 91. Directed Angels in the Outfield in 94, Wild America in 97, and this one we won't hold against
in the
him.
Outfield.
Yeah, I love Angels in the Outfield.
Yeah,
that might be a future.
Well, it's no Rookie of the Year.
It's not.
Isn't it wild how that happens? That two movies will come out. I mean, not that Angels in the Outfield and Rookie of the Year are that similar, but they're about kids playing baseball.
Yeah.
And they happen like right around the same time.
Yeah.
And I've heard of that happening a lot in the movie business where completely independent.
Yeah.
My favorite example is Observe and Report and Paul Blart Mall Cop.
Yeah.
Both being made at the same time, but completely independent.
Yeah.
Nobody had any idea that was happening.
No, they did not. So the writer on this is Mr. Fred Decker. We will probably say his name a lot on this series, I would imagine.
Why would we mention Fred Decker?
I think we're just both big Fred Decker fans, so I feel like his filmography is probably going to get entirely covered at some point.
I mean, I will say that I've always truly admired RoboCop 3.
I like RoboCop 3.
Actually, I enjoy RoboCop 3 quite a bit. No, Fred Decker, I mean, is the stuff of legend.
Yeah, I mean,
Fred Decker gave us Night of the Creeps,
86.
which I just watched Night of the Creeps in
theaters.
the theater for Halloween screening, and it holds up.
Oh yeah,
so well.
Oh,
it is a nonstop fun flick, and I'm not just saying that because it turns out I'm pals with the guy that the character JC was named after. Shout out to you, Cappy. I know you're watching.
Oh yeah.
And but like not only because of that, but it was just friggin' books.
Yeah.
And then of course the film that meant everything to me as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Everything to me.
I know.
Is a little film called Monster Squad.
Yes.
And Monster Squad, for those who are uninitiated, it's about a group of kids who are tasked with defeating Dracula, the Wolfman, Mummy, creature not from a Black Lagoon, and kind of Frankenstein. Basically, the way I usually like to describe the film is I like to say, so Dracula, Wolfman, Mummy, creature, and Frankenstein all come to a town looking for an amulet, and only a group of 11-year-olds can stop them.
Solid.
And it is so fun.
Yeah.
That movie was such a stalwart VHS when I was a kid. When you were coming up, it was probably hard to find.
Super hard to find. It was one of those movies that was always like in Fangoria or Horror Hound, like people were talking about it.
Well, I mean, a lot of people love that movie.
Yeah, but you couldn't find it.
Well, it kind of was a film that was made outside of its time. It didn't really make sense for it to come out in the 80s.
Yeah.
Because there weren't a lot of monster kids anymore.
No, not really. No.
Not a ton. The monster kid era was like the 60s, the 50s, and 60s.
Yeah.
Was like when Famous Monsters and all these other magazines were at their heyday.
Yeah.
So to have this movie with basically the not litigious versions of Universal monsters, because they wanted that film to be at Universal. They wanted it to be an actual like somewhat canonical Universal monster movie. Makes perfect sense.
100%.
But Universal was just like, it'll flop. But what do they? Oh, it did. And that's the other thing. Some of my friends, I'm thinking of my buddy Wolf Dan. Some of my friends, they get mad when I point out that it flopped because they're like, it shouldn't have flopped. And I'm like, I'm not going to say it shouldn't have. It's a great film, but maybe it's just the jadedness from working in show business for so long. But just because a movie's great doesn't mean it can succeed.
No.
And that movie's wonderful. It did nothing but capture my imagination and make me have warm and fuzzies.
Yes.
And I'll never forget when it came out on DVD, I was like 20 or 19 years old and I grabbed the movie and the first thing I did was I set it aside.
Yeah.
And 3 weeks later, I came home. I was living in Jersey at the time. I came home to Ohio to see my mom for my birthday. And I was like, we got to watch this. And I made her put it on her living room DVD player. And I was like, we're watching this. And literally about 10 minutes in, my mom was like, you watched this a million times when you were a kid. And I was like, yeah, because the VHS tape broke
it.
And then I freaked out till we found another one,
that
which
makes
was
sense.
not easy to do.
No.
So Fred Dekker, and there's even more to him, which you'll touch on in a second.
Yeah.
But I have to say 100% Fred Dekker, in my world, OG, 100%. Totally bitchin'.
No, love Fred Dekker. RoboCop 3 in 1993, as Enrique said. He was also the writer of House in 1985, the William Castle, or not William Castle.
What on earth
William
are you talking about? William Castle film.
Night of the Creeps, of course, he wrote. He wrote one of my favorite movies, Ricochet, in 91.
He's a highly prolific writer.
Yeah.
And all the stuff he's written, for the most part, has been highly memorable.
No, The Predator 2018 is the last one on the resume right now.
Which he did with his buddy Shane Black.
Yes, he did.
Which, I'm going to make the joke first. Another Black & Decker production. I got to that before everybody else.
So Dekker did the movie under a title that actually did get released overseas of Teen Agent. So that's what the screenplay was under.
Teen Agent.
Teen Agent. That's where you can find all the posters.
Where was it released as Teen Agent?
UK.
I was going to make a joke because I was like, well, it couldn't have been in countries without English because they wouldn't get the pun.
So Teen Agent was the script that came out. Dekker has said in an interview I found that he did not really like the final product so much. It was very different from his script. He wanted, he said Grieco wasn't who he imagined. He imagined somebody like Anthony Michael Hall.
Okay. I mean, I could see that. But see, I think... Okay, because
I think Grieco's perfect.
Anthony Michael Hall would be more of like a spaz.
Have you ever seen Out of Bounds, the action thriller that Hall did in the 80s with Jeff Kober chasing him?
No.
Oh, God.
That sounds great.
So he's like a farm boy that comes to the city to, I think it's his brother, to live with his brother for a little bit while he finds a job, and he ends up getting a bag mixed up with, like, I think it's either money or drugs at a train station.
Something good.
Yeah. And the guy, Kober, follows him home, kills the brother and his girlfriend or his wife, and then Hall is now on the run from this guy with this money or drugs, and it's fucking intense.
Wow.
It is good.
No, that sounds good. No, that sounds really good. Wow.
Yeah.
No, for me, Anthony Michael Hall, I stand by, would have made him more of a spaz.
Yeah, I could see that.
And I kind of like that it was more of a Ferris Bueller kind of style. That's
absolutely
something that as soon as I said it when I was trying to describe the movie quickly, it dawned on me. I was like, that's actually a really good way to describe it.
Yeah.
Because Bueller is a great example in cinema of the slacker character that is not perfect, though.
No.
He's still a screw up. He still makes big mistakes. People still get mad at him. He still struggles to pass his classes. He's more of a guy who thinks he has it all figured out.
Yeah.
Not someone who actually does. And that's why I love the opening of the movie.
Yeah.
Greco. Greco-Roman wrestling. Grieco literally gets his diploma and he's all like, yeah, thanks a lot. And then they're like, yeah, the fun has just begun.
Yeah.
And he opens it up and it says incomplete. His French class. So anyway, I love the way this film came together.
Yeah.
I could see what Dekker was going for, but I think that I can't imagine the movie without a smarmy butthead.
And that's where Darren Star comes in. He wrote the screenplay. He had done Doing Time on Earth in 1988, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure in 92.
Oh, okay. Wow. And then they just crap on it.
Yep. Melrose Place.
VHS back.
Melrose Place in 1992. Beverly Hills 90210 in 2000. Sex and the City. He did a bunch of Sex and the City, like hundreds of episodes. Younger, the VH1 show in 2015. And he also did a bunch of episodes for Emily in Paris, the Netflix show. So he's done a lot of writing and is still doing it to this day. Music in the film is done by David Foster. He had worked with the likes of Chicago, Kenny Loggins. He did the soundtrack for St. Elmo's Fire, Shaka Khan, One Good Cop, the Michael Keaton movie that I don't know if you've ever seen. Not one of my favorites, but a pretty good score in it.
Sounds familiar, but yeah, I'm not sure.
Also worked with Whitney Houston and Madonna as well. So the score in this film, for my money, really, really freaking works.
Well, you didn't pay for it, so I don't see what that matters. Your money doesn't matter here, white boy.
Continuing on, this movie was the cinematographer of Douglas Milsom. He was the focus puller and clapper on such films as, that's what it said on IMDb.
This is where we're going. This is where we're digging in Do You Even Movie.
This is where we're digging because this is fucking awesome. So just wait.
I'll be the judge of that.
Blow Up in 1966.
Okay, phenomenal movie.
Casino Royale 67.
A fine movie, I guess.
Clockwork Orange in 1971.
I don't know, a couple people might have seen that one.
Barry Lyndon in 1975.
Okay, that's cool. I'll give you that one. That's cool.
The Spy Who Loved Me in 77. He becomes the camera operator on The Shining in 1980.
Oh, he was the camera operator.
Yep, and then he is full on basically cinematographer from this point on in Highlander in 1986.
A great film.
Full Metal Jacket in 87.
Oh, so, wow, he came back.
He was Kubrick
He came back
guy.
to Kubrick. Yeah, the only thing more impressive than working for Kubrick is working for Kubrick again.
Yeah.
You either have incredible wherewithal or a gambling problem.
Yeah. So, Desperate Hours in 1990, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves in 1991.
It's pronounced
Thieves. Body of Evidence in 92, Sunset Grill in 1993. Remember that one with Peter Weller? That cinema, the noir I showed you, where with the voodoo and shit.
Oh yeah, that movie's out of its mind.
Rumpelstiltskin in 1995.
In my opinion, an absolute 90s kid classic, because if you didn't watch Rumpelstiltskin as a kid in the 90s, most didn't.
No.
But I'll tell you what you did do. You looked on in fear at the VHS box.
Oh my God, yes you did.
Yeah, that's a good creepy box cover.
So to Cap Milsom, 1997 Breakdown. So this guy has a hell of a resume for cinematography. Moving on to the editor on this.
I want to mention, I mean, one of the things the first things when we became buddies that I blew your mind about was I would tell you, hey, take a minute.
Look at the cinematographer.
Look at those cinematographers because not a joke. You can literally look at a movie like, pick a big Hollywood movie. Like I was looking at This Is 40.
Yeah.
Literally click on This Is 40, click on the cinematographer, and it'll be like, scroll back and it'll be like, first film, Stripped to Kill 2, Live Girls. I happen to be a fan of Stripped to Kill 2, Live Girls, but my point being, DPs will go from the lowliest film to one of the most important films, sometimes in less than a decade or even less than a year sometimes. If I'm remembering correctly, Dean Cunday, who went on to shoot not only Halloween, not only Jurassic Park, not only, he shot Back to the Future, right?
Roadhouse, Back to the Future.
But Satan's Cheerleaders was one of his first credits, a movie I bought on DVD for like $8 and then was like, well, that was Satan's Cheerleaders, and moved on with my life. So I'm not to crap on Satan's Cheerleaders, but my point is, you would be like, oh yeah, of course, Humble Beginnings with Halloween, which just happened to become a classic.
Yeah.
Oh no, my friend.
No.
He did Satan's Cheerleaders as well.
Yeah.
I just love that about cinematographers. They get around, because the fact of the matter is, and maybe this is going to shock people, but a film has to have a camera, and the camera has to be pointed at things, and it has to be in focus, and Dave has to just cough and cough because he does not respect the audience. And
Henrique is right, and also handsome.
So there you go.
For the listeners and viewers, this is my first time hearing these, so my reactions are all.
I thought you were gonna say this is my first time talking, and I was gonna go, you know what? Fair.
So moving on, the editor of this film is John F. Link. He was an editor on Race with the Devil in 1975, Stay Hungry in 1976.
Okay, yeah.
A little film called Commando in 1985.
Oh, you mean Suburban Commando?
Suburban Commando. No, I do not. I mean the good Commando.
So Suburban Commando.
Oh, would you stop? Predator in 1987. Die Hard in 1988.
Okay.
Roadhouse in 1989. Hard to Kill in 1990. Hand That Rocks the Cradle in 92. Mighty Ducks in 92. The Big Green in 95. The Quest in 96. And 1990, Cherry Falls.
Well, that's an underrated classic, 100%. Cherry Falls. But also, I don't know why you didn't just stop at Mighty Ducks and just let it be.
let it go.
Let it ride.
So wrapping us up is our special effects and stunts. So our key special effects on this was Lewis Craig. He did Scanners in 81. He was an assistant tech advisor. Happy Birthday to Me in 1981.
Oh, I love that one.
The Vindicator in 1986. The Fly in 1986. And then from this point on, he becomes the supervisor for special effects with Scanners 3, The Takeover in 91.
That one's I like those later Scanners. Yeah. A lot of people crap on them.
I like
them. I'm a lifelong Scanner Cop apologist. I'm not even going to call it a fan anymore. I'm just going to call it an apologist. When that Blu-ray 4K of Scanner Cop 1 and 2 came out, it was I didn't understand how it made financial sense to make a 4K only for me.
Yeah.
But they did.
But they did.
And when life is good,
you don't question
it's
it.
best not to ask questions.
So continuing, he was a supervisor on The Quest in 96, Silent Trigger in 96, The Bone Collector in 1999.
Oh, okay. I love that one.
Art of War in 2000, Secret Window in 2004, Lucky Number 11 in 2006.
I mean, that's not how you say that, but it's Lucky Number 11.
ATM in 2012, Life of Pi in 2012, Birdman in 2014, Bad Santa in 2016, and the Death Wish remake in 2018. So special effects for all those.
Yeah.
And then wrapping us up is our stunt coordinator, because the one thing we will get into once we start talking about our love of this movie are the stunts of this movie.
Okay, well then dig on in.
Glenn Randall Jr. is his name. He worked on Planet of the Apes in 1968, Omega Man in 71, Diamonds Are Forever in 71, Blazing Saddles in 74, Raiders of the Lost Ark in 81, Poltergeist in 82, E.T. in 82, Return of the Jedi in 83, Firestarter in 84, Red Dawn in 84, Cat's Eye in 85, Remo Williams' The Adventure Begins in 85,
I
Raw
love
Deal.
Remo Williams.
I do too. Raw Deal, Maximum Overdrive, Eye of the Tiger, No Mercy, The Fugitive, On Deadly Ground, Time Cop, The Substitute, Traveler with Bill Paxton. Yeah. And wrapping us up, The Mask of Zorro in 1998. So the resumes on this movie are why I love this movie, I think.
You think that's why?
I think.
You didn't know that when you originally loved the movie.
No, I did not.
I'm just saying,
So that is finishing us off for Below the Line. So we are now getting into, as we have it, the trivia of the film. So I don't even know, actually. We probably want to talk about the movie at this point, actually, now that I think about it.
I don't know.
Because I did the rundown of it, but now I'm also like, I think we just need to get into why we love this movie, to be honest.
I mean, I didn't even know you liked this movie.
Oh, really? So what was your first experience with this movie? How did you see this?
Oh, come on. It was on
HBO
or Cinemax or both all the time.
Yeah.
It was constantly playing.
Yeah.
It was always on. I would catch the beginning, I'd catch a little bit of the end, I'd catch the middle. I probably didn't see the film from start to finish for years.
Yeah.
But the sense of humor caught me, and of course the action.
Absolutely.
The action scenes are insane. But as a young kid, probably, 11, 12 years old, watching it, the spy gadgets really caught me. But also the scene toward the end where he's picking at his food and the supervillain is like, he tells him, that is a plate that Alexander the Great or something ate off of. And then he just takes the plate and drops it on the floor to shatter it. That was what, as a kid, made me go, I love this movie. That is so funny. That's what I would do.
Yeah. My personal experience with it, the first time I ever saw it was we had a video cabinet at my parents' house when growing up, at our house.
A cabinet made of video?
A cabinet made of videos.
How does that even work? That doesn't sound like it makes sense.
Inside the video cabinet, we had our regular VHS tapes, like bought from the store and whatnot, and then my parents had HBO.
You had a copy of Bought from the Store on VHS?
Would you stop?
Never.
So we had a bunch of recorded stuff off HBO and like Stars and stuff through the years, and it was a Memorex tape that had the slip on it and everything, and just a little label written in Sharpie that said "If Looks Could Kill." And this is probably, I'm 7 or 8 at this point, maybe even just a little younger, and that was about the time I started going through the video cabinet and like pulling out Die Hard 2 and Breakfast Club and asking mom and dad what these movies were and getting told when I could watch them and whatnot.
Like ages or times of day?
Ages.
Yeah, that's where you and I differ.
I wasn't censored as much as a kid, honestly. So like,
I think
my life
was reckless.
You were reckless. You were absolutely reckless.
I wasn't. It was the adults.
Your VHS to cable was reckless more so than mine.
My Aunt Betty, my sweet dear Aunt Betty, God rest her soul, she had a similar cabinet, just maggoty with weird tapes, mostly recorded off of satellite dish. With the labels with pencil on them because she would erase them, so she wanted to be able to erase them. Yeah.
We did that too.
But she didn't just have, she had some pre-records.
Yeah.
And do you remember during the pandemic, I remembered a tape.
I know exactly.
And I was like, wait, I'm going to look it up. So I found, by searching through eBay, I found the tape that she let me borrow when I had to have been 7. It was fucking Horror of the Blood Monsters. That's the film that my Aunt Betty was like, sure, Rick, you go ahead.
Here you go.
Yeah, my family got away with calling me Rick. Well, the white side.
Yeah.
The other side just didn't talk to me at all. But no, that was Horror of the Blood Monsters. Like, she would literally pull tapes out and be like, here you go. And it would be Puppet Master 4 and 5. Yeah. It would be Freddy's Dead. Yeah. It would be all of these things. And she'd just be like, I know you like them horror pictures.
There you go.
And she just hand it over, man.
That's awesome.
Completely reckless. And then, of course, we just stole cable. So if you had a television in your bedroom, then you could watch Cinemax all night long. And you did. Yeah, and you better believe I did. Just wait till we have to talk about Emmanuel in space on this show.
Can't wait. So we had a If Looks Could Kill written on this, and I brought it to my dad, and I was like, "What is this?" Because by this point, I was a huge Bond fan. Because like my dad and I would watch Bond movies.
If you are such a huge Bond fan,
name all of them.
No, then why do you keep?
Oh
why
my
do
God!
You keep refusing my invitation, my kindly invitation? Let me tell you how our friendship works. For you guys, I have a beautiful 120-inch screen.
Yes, you do.
With surround sound, full HD projector. That's what I bring to the table.
Mm-hmm.
And Double D over here, he'll be the first to admit that when he gets a new Blu-ray or 4K or whatever, he really, really wants to watch it on my screen, and I don't blame him.
I don't blame me.
And honestly, but it's also like a very fair trade. You know, it's I got the screen, so you're like, I have this movie you don't have.
Well,
so
shit, for a while there, I was buying you 4Ks so we could watch them.
Oh, well, that was 4Ks. That was a whole other thing.
No, I know, but I'm saying
that was when I had the first 4K.
Yeah,
TV
that was when
us,
you first had 4Ks, and I was like, well, I'm going to get you Die Hard, and I'm going to get you Braveheart, and a couple other ones I can't think of.
I don't think you got me Braveheart.
Halloween? Jaws. I got you Jaws, and I got you...
Did you just have a seizure? Like, what was that?
It was either Jaws, Die Hard, and something else. I can't remember. Well, anyway, we digress.
But my point, that was a massive digression. No, my point is just that we would watch these movies, we'd screen them, and I offered, because you pick on me for not having a proper James Bond education, because I've seen like 2 of the Pierce Brosnan movies, and that's about it. You pick on me after I, out of the goodness of my dumb old heart, offer to watch all of the James Bond movies in one long marathon.
Sitting. Oh my God.
I think that's me being incredibly generous and reasonable.
Yeah, until you factor in that it's going to take us at least, I think, it's going to take us at least 3 days.
Yeah, that's why it's generous of me. I'm saying I will give up 3 days of my valuable time and consume probably enough caffeine to kill a racehorse.
Not to mention we're going to have to build a bitchin' blanket for it.
You can't be in my blanket for it.
But I digress again.
You sure do.
So I took it to my dad, and he's like, "Oh yeah, it's like it's this late '80s," which he was wrong. Spy thriller that you'll probably like. So I remember popping it on, and the one thing that I love about those, recorded off of HBO, cable, etc. We were missing the first part of the movie. So it starts right as Corbin walks on stage and gets his diploma and sees Incomplete. So like the opening credits and like the whole thing with him in the headphones wasn't on there. Not a big deal. Not anything you really miss. So it's fine.
I think that as a film lover, you should have turned your nose up and said, family, I don't even appreciate what you're doing to me. Why not spit in the face of the director? Why not spit in the face of the cinematographer? I could see you as a little kid being like that.
I can
too.
see that.
Little shit.
But I had definitely, before I'd seen If Looks Could Kill, I had easily seen Die Hard. It might have been on cable, but I'd easily seen more action-based movies, especially the Bond stuff before this point. But I remember what my mom said about If Looks Could Kill, or no, I remember actually the conversation was my dad he had seen it, and my mom was like, is that the one where the woman has the necklace that kills people? So you're a kid hearing that, and you're like, well, I have to see this now. So I pop it in, and naturally that scene happens in like the first like 5-10 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, it does, and it's a cool effect.
Yeah, Linda Hunt has Ilsa's has this necklace that she takes off, and it is basically a whip, and that's how she kills Blade, Roger Daltrey, with it. Is she takes it off and cuts him with it, then strangles him with it, and like that's in like the first 5 minutes of the movie, and then from there we just go into more spy stuff and the gadgets and the explosions and the action. So naturally, I just loved this movie, and I really didn't go back to it until probably about 5 or 6 years ago. I had to find another copy of it online somewhere so I could have it.
He stole it. He stole it. He stole it because he doesn't care.
It wasn't until a year ago that I just bought the DVD that you can only get of it through Warner Archive, which we'll talk about at the end. But anyway, I think If Looks Could Kill is an absolute blast. You start off with Richard Grieco, so he doesn't get his credit, and he has to go to France with the.
Well, the only option, is to go on a class trip to France.
Yeah.
That's the only option, which his parents just love.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you're going to tell me after you don't graduate, I got to pay to send you to France?
God damn.
I love that.
line.
Yeah, it's a great one.
So then he goes to the airport. He meets up with his French teacher, and she's basically like, I'm going to ride your ass. This is not going to be an easy credit because he's got his sunglasses on.
Whoa. Gonna ride his what now?
He's got his sunglasses on. He's got his headphones on. He's just playing it easy breezy, and she basically stops him and says, this is not how the trip's going to go. And from there, we meet Michael Corbin, the secret agent that is in this airport at the same time as they are.
And it's not his name.
No.
That's the name they picked for the day that he is going to meet with his
operative.
An operative on the plane.
Yeah. So what happens next is Linda Hunt tracks the agent to the airport, kills him, and stashes him into a cart and basically decides the job's done. She's all good. Everything's fine. Well, then Michael Corbin ends up inheriting his plane ticket, and he gets into first class. And now the whole movie takes off from there because he is going to France, and he is mistaken as this MI6 operative, and now there's assassins after him. There's the good guys after him. And, I mean, what more can you say?
When David says good guys, he means the American government. And some people might disagree with you there.
just maybe. But no, I mean, you have a little bit of everything in this. You've got the action, you've got the comedy, and I think what works most for this is the story is really well paced, but also it's your characters in this are so much fun. Robin Bartlett, who plays the French teacher, so much fun.
Super likable. She's so mean and angry, but then there's this whole sequence where she's trying to get to our main character, who's now in first class due to mistaken identity.
Yeah.
Which of course he's gonna play it cool. He's not gonna give up a first class ticket unless they take him out, kicking and screaming. So she's hassling him, and then she ends up getting held at gunpoint in the bathroom by an air marshal.
Yes.
Who like literally is like, I will blow your brains out if you don't leave Corbin alone.
Yeah.
And then he pulls out his badge. He's like, and this is to show you I have the authority to do it. And she's just, but she's just a French teacher who's like trying to make this kid who doesn't give a crap about learning French not be such a jerk. And I get why this movie connects with you so well. Mm-hmm. Being a Frenchman, as you are,
Denoyer.
Yes,
French Canadian.
Why would you? You should have just denied. Didn't Shaggy teach you anything? All right, so
wasn't me.
There you go. But no, so it's a really fun movie.
Yeah.
It's so like you can actually hear the 80s dying during it, because it's like it's so a perfect like
capsule closing.
It's like a bridge to the 90s, because it has a lot of the kind of excess. Like I always like to say that the 80s was the era of excess, and then the 90s was the era of existentialism.
Yeah.
So you kind of, you'd still have like the wild colors and stuff like that, but when you get further into the film and they do things like the honeypot, for those who don't know, a honeypot is a woman whose job is to sleep with a spy to get information or just to kill them or whatever. James Bond made the honeypot famous. He's like fooling around with a honeypot, and he accidentally is stuck in the bathroom because he can't get a foreign container of condoms to open.
Combat condoms
that have like they open like a friggin' tin of sardines.
Yes.
She gets blown up by a missile.
Yeah.
And when he finds her body, though, they show like a heinously dead body. They multiple times they make it clear that the stakes are real.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like, the violence in this is heavy PG-13, and I that may not mean anything to you because there was just a period there where it seemed like a lot of the PG-13 movies, because now they can be really violent, just not show blood. There's explosion.
It depends on the kind of violence.
The Taken doesn't show a lot of blood, and it's very, very violent.
Taken hit a PG-13, didn't it? Yeah, but other than the torture scene, which was heavily shortened.
Yes, it was.
In the PG-13 version. It was. In Taken, I mean, it's mostly just like punching people and shooting guns in a direction.
Yeah, but he gets some blades at some point and then does some
He does,
work.
but not a drop of blood.
Yeah.
No, I mean, that one's definitely a stretch. But then again, I got to be honest, I barely remember that PG-13 cut because once I got the unrated Blu-ray,
that's all you watch.
It was all I wanted to watch. Yeah, so, but no, I see what you're saying.
But yeah, I mean, there's squibs in this. You've got full-on like bodies piling up after a while.
Yeah, no, it gets really violent.
But I think honestly, what makes this is your characters, because you've got Roger Rees as Augustus Steranko and Linda Hunt as Ilsa, and Ilsa is the psychotic one with Ziegfeld the whole time.
Yeah, you think? Huh?
Yeah, and I mean, and then Roger Rees, the whole movie, you're like, well, he's a bit subdued, and then right towards like the last 20-25 minutes, he kind of loses his shit and, and really shows his true colors.
No, he goes full megalomaniac.
Yeah,
I mean, he's not just going to steal all the gold in the world. He's gonna fucking print his face on it.
Yes, he is.
He's going to steal all the gold, print new money with his face on it, and basically conquer the world as a dictator through economics alone.
Yes, that is exactly what he's going to do.
I mean, hell.
No, and I mean, and not to mention the fact too that like he has assassins following the French teacher and the students the whole movie. One of which gets saved by the Americans at one point.
Well, they don't think that they're students and a French teacher.
They don't. Yeah, they think they're revolutionaries.
They think they're mercenaries.
Mercenaries, yeah.
They think the French teacher is an espionage expert,
yeah.
And that all of the students are posing as students because they're mercenaries.
Yes,
and that they're going to do some kind of massive military attack.
Well, that's again the thing you said about the stakes. At one point, Corbin's like, "Hey, I can deal with them," because his MI6 operative is like, "Well, we've got them detained, and we'll handle them." And he's like, "Hey, why don't you let me?" Because he realizes they're gonna fucking kill them.
Yeah, no, they're gonna be.
Yeah. And I mean, that's, again, going back to the action in this, one of my favorite scenes is when the MI6 gets him and takes him to the secret headquarters, and you walk in, and you're used to all that James Bond stuff of seeing how the gadgets work. One of my absolute favorites, there's two of them, is they walk through the parking sector, and they come across this guy at this desk, and he's like, "Oh, how's it going, Frank?" And he's like, "Oh, hang on, I got a call." Picks up the phone, and then side of the desk slams and hits and flattens this dummy's head.
Yeah, it like obliterates the dummy.
It. And then you've got my favorite, which is the cameo of the director, William Deere. There's a guy that's literally just holding a bomb. He's got the suit on, and they blow up this bomb. He gets blown back, and they go over to him like, "You all right, Frank?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm good." He's like, "You want to try another one?" "Maybe later."
Yeah, maybe later. It's like so clearly dubbed in after the fact. It's very funny.
So good. But I mean, if Looks Could Kill is probably a movie that I would absolutely, I mean, not probably, I absolutely want to see this fall into more available hands, because this movie is so much fun. And you and I both nailed it when we were watching it just a little bit ago, that the climax of this film makes the movie.
It's so fun. It's so satisfying. You get to see the French teacher go Rambo and literally take off her neck scarf and tie it around her head like John Rambo and start Uziing everybody. And there's a great part where she's like, "I don't know what to do." He's like, "You're the French teacher. Be the French teacher."
Takes off her headband.
Yeah,
I understand.
Like, ready? Yeah, I understand. It's so good and so fun. And that's kind of thing, or like that the girl who had a crush on the main character.
Oh yeah,
but like in his school, not the girl that he meets later
Kelly,
on.
Yeah,
not his actual love interest.
Mariska,
but she ends up like becoming attracted to the weirdo
Kent.
best friend and stuff. Like there's all kinds of fun, little kind of 80s wrap up tropes. But on top of that is just a nonstop obscene gunfight.
Yeah,
and the French teacher being this mousy woman who's just kind of a hard ass about our main character, now just obliterating bad guys with machine guns.
One of my all-time favorite lines.
Yeah.
One of my all-time favorite lines is, so she gets the Uzi, and Augustus is planning to basically poison everyone at this ceremony where he's unveiling his
which
idea
is full of world leaders.
Full of world leaders. And they have all this champagne stacked up, and she's on the balcony, and you see the camera pan up to her, And you just see this Uzi come into frame. They go into focus, and you hear, the bar's closed, and she shoots down the chandelier, crashes on the champagne. Oh, it's so good.
It's excellent, yeah.
There's just so many good scenes. I mean, literally, you get to see a woman annihilated with a rocket launcher who's being stabbed by a scorpion that she's trying to kill Grieco with at one point.
Yeah. She's literally was going to kill him with a scorpion.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, it was a type of black scorpion that is the only scorpion with a venom strong enough to kill a person.
No shit.
I Googled that because as I was watching it, I was like, can any scorpions really kill someone?
Yeah.
One.
That makes sense.
I think it was called a bark scorpion.
That does sound familiar, actually.
So, no, it doesn't. You don't know stuff. But, but no. So, like, not only when he jumps off to go get a condom, which, hey, kudos to him for wanting to have safe sex with a honeypot.
Yeah.
Because at this point, he already knows he's playing the role of a secret agent. So it's not even mistaken identity anymore.
No.
He is being the secret agent. But yeah, so he ends up accidentally leaving the scorpion on her. So it looks like she's doing some kind of a wild sex dance.
To a Kylie Minogue song, too.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah.
So, but no, there's so many memorable moments.
Well, it's all the violence is almost accidental because, like, one of the most memorable scenes is when he gets his car. He gets his Ferrari from, or Lamborghini, I can't remember. Gets his car from the MI6 operatives, and he doesn't know any of the buttons in it. It's got rockets, it's got smokes, it's got parachutes. And Mariska, who is, like I said, Blade's daughter, is trying to get in contact with him to let him know, like, back off from Steranko. I want to kill him. And there's the scene where they're just going down the road, and Corbin is flipping every single switch on this thing. He's firing rockets and blowing up sheds. They're going under the buses because at one point his actual class is on the same road that he is.
Yes.
And the rocket goes under the bus to hit Ziegfeld's car. And also Ziegfeld, he gets injured early on in the movie where he gets his hand stuck in a freaking snowmobile. And so the rest of the movie, he just has this robotic hand that can just do anything.
Like
basically.
a super powerful robotic hand.
It punches through he freezes the gold at one point in the climax, and he just has hot magma all over his hand at one point for the final fight scene, which is insane, too.
It was a really good one.
But I mean, I don't know what else we can say about this movie except it needs a Blu-ray release so bad. But if you have literally $8.29 plus some tax, get a copy. You can easily find it from Warner, and it's a burn-on-demand disc. It only has a trailer on it. There's no captions, and I think, does it start right away, or does it just go to that menu?
I didn't see a menu.
Yeah.
It just said start the movie or watch trailers.
Yeah, so it's literally
very old era.
Burn on
cheap,
demand.
Yeah,
it's a cheap
DVD.
disc, but it's the only way you can find it unless you want to track down a VHS. So if you're listening to this, anybody of Shout Factory or Warner, put this damn movie on Blu-ray already, please.
Oh, man. I mean,
watch out, guys. It's a hot take.
So wrapping us up, we have some trivia on the movie. The gold coins were actually chocolate coins covered in gold foil.
Delicious, which makes more sense than gold coins covered in chocolate foil.
There is that, yes.
Makes sense, yeah.
The spy glasses used in the film were also used in Mission Impossible in 1996, and the gum was used in a Bond film, The World Is Not Enough, in 1999. Steranko's goons were actually played by members of the Montreal Police SWAT team.
That checks out.
Yeah.
Now I know why you like this movie. It's in French Canada.
And when this was released March 15th of 1991, it actually fell into the 11 spot of the box office. It was beaten by the number one at the time, which was Silence of the Lambs. Following that, New Jack City. Following that, Sleeping with the Enemy. Then Class Action, The Hard Way, Perfect Weapon, The Doors, Dances with Wolves, Home Alone, and even Godfather 3 was out at the same time. So it had some tough contenders.
Yeah, as we know, David's favorite film and arguably the best film of all time, Godfather 3.
And it was a bit of a bomb, unfortunately. $14 million budget, made $2 million at the box office opening weekend, and $7 million all in total. So
that's brutal.
It didn't do super well. And one of the last things I wanted to say in regards to the trivia is while I was doing some research on this, something was brought to my attention that is absolutely true. This film has a lot in common with Spider-Man Far From Home.
Wait, what? No, okay. Break it down, hombre.
Okay.
What are you talking about?
So let's think about Spider-Man Far From Home. Not No Way Home. Far From Home.
Far From Home.
Which is where he goes on a class field trip and meets not Magneto. I can't think of his name. Jake Gyllenhaal's villain. I can't think of his name. Mysterio, thank you.
Yes.
So there's spy glasses. He's on a field trip with a chaperone that's very not responsible. His classmates do get abducted at one point.
Okay.
He has to save them. He has to go down a building using his spidey senses at one point, carrying what's her face,
Mary Jane.
That's not Mary Jane, though. It's, God, I can't think of her name. Zendaya's character. Is it Mary Jane?
She's MJ, yeah.
MJ, yeah. Okay, so it is MJ. And then not to mention, too, that there's the whole thing in regards to finding out that you thought who the villain was that you were told, or the good guy was, because that's what MI6 does in Luke's Kill. They tell him that Steranko's not a bad guy. Mysterio is unveiled.
But unlike that, we know immediately that Steranko is the bad guy.
There is that.
In that, as opposed to it's a big twist in Spider-Man, which, by the way, you've given spoilers to a movie we did not warn anyone about. Very good.
We said spoilers.
Very good. No.
Spoilers for anything.
Oh, so we just, when you sit down and you enjoy an episode of Do You Even Movie, expect to be spoiled in everything.
Everything.
Please,
everything
no,
possible.
David. Please, no, David.
So the last little trivia bit I want to do is the soundtrack of this film, which I have now listened to for the last 48 hours, and I've got to say it's a pretty good soundtrack. You have If Looks Could Kill, the theme song called No Turning Back by Glenn Mildorus, One Hot Country, which is the car chase song by The Outfield, who also did Your Love, which is a popular song that most people know if they listen to 80s radio at all. I don't want to lose your love.
Oh, God, that was everywhere. Yeah.
Loud Guitars, Fast Cars, and Wild Wild Livin' by Contraband. You've got One More Time by Trickster. Better Than the Devil You Know, Kylie Minogue, which is the song with the scorpion that incinerates the woman.
There's a sentence you only say a couple times a week.
Teach Me How to Dream by Robin McCauley. All Is Fair by The Fix. Maybe This Time by The Stabilizers. My Saltine by Bango Tango, which I do love that name. And again, David
Is it Bango
Foster.
Tango or Bang Tango?
Bang Tango, yeah.
Bango Tango.
Bango Tango sounds like a band. Don't tell me that I'm wrong.
David, anything sounds like a band if it's weird enough.
If you believe.
If you gotta have faith for that to work on me.
So, any final thoughts on your side, Enrique?
I mean, first of all, don't ever say that again like that. No, I've always enjoyed this film. I was actually honestly kind of surprised how much you liked it, because to me, it was just not in the sweet spot of when you were watching movies.
I remember when you reached out to me about it, because I had posted on Facebook that I was watching it, which I think was when I had may or may not obtained that other copy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't remember that.
And I think but then it wasn't until we found out 6 months ago that I got this DVD.
Yeah. And the rest is history. So, but no, I've always enjoyed the film.
Yeah.
I think it's very underrated. I'll take it one step further than you, because you kind of namby-pamby called out like a shout select or whatever.
Me.
And I'll put it this way. Media conglomerates of the world, if you wish to have your family back, release this film on Blu-ray now.
We need it. We need it indeed. So
this is not an idle threat.
It is not. No, it's not. So I'm going to give this, the ratings we're going to have on the show in regards to our final thoughts are either stream it, rent it, or buy it. And unfortunately, we have to give this a buy it, which isn't unfortunate in the fact that you want to buy it, but that's the only option you have.
Well, I mean, fair enough. I didn't know we were going to make it a literal stream it, rent it, buy it.
I have to for this one. It may not be for other episodes. We'll see as we go. But
I just thought it was figurative.
Yeah, but for me, this is a buy it. But I would say if it was one that you could actually rent, absolutely rent this movie, because it's so much fun. 88-minute runtime, and also just you get to see like that tail, like Enrique said, a tail close of the 80s, and it's like perfectly done in a parody style, but also just has a lot of great action sequences, a lot of great performances. Just a fun movie.
Yeah, it's a good time. It's a good time, and nobody who matters gets hurt.
So, last thing I want to say is we're trying on this show to have another recommendation to go along with it. One that I brought up to Enrique while we were watching it is there's a movie that John Stamos did in the 80s with Gene Simmons and Robert Englund and George Lazenby called Never Too Young to Die, which has in the last 5 or 10 years finally gotten a Blu-ray release through Scream Factory or Shout Factory, and also you can find it on a lot of retailers that you can get your movies from as well. John Stamos is the son of a super spy that gets killed by Gene Simmons, and so he decides to take over his father's legacy and stop Gene Simmons, who's also has his right-hand man played by Robert Englund.
Oh.
It's a crazy-ass movie. But Never Too Young to Die is a great pairing for If Looks Could Kill. But If Looks Could Kill, if you haven't seen it, try to track it down.
Well, if you haven't seen it, then I guess listening to this show kind of ruined everything good about it. So, yeah, well, okay, fine.
We try what we can.
Well, fair enough. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us right here at Do You Even Movie. We look forward to seeing you right back here next time. And if you want to support us, head to doyouevenmovie.com. You can send us an email at doyouevenmoviepod@gmail.com.
Excellent.
And you can subscribe. You can click on Patreon. For $3 a month, you can get the video version of this program for your enjoyment.
And look at us.
And you'll get to see us. So until next time, movie. We'll smooth that one out in the future.
That's fair.
Thanks for listening, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Adios.